Miles Beacom was born and raised in Sioux Falls. He's the president and CEO of Premier Bankcard. The company is the 13th largest issuer of MasterCard and Visa credit cards in the country. Premier Bankcard currently employs more than 1,800 people in 4 locations across South Dakota. In addition to the success he's had in his professional life, Miles is equally dedicated to serving his community, investing substantial funds and volunteer hours toward a number of charitable organizations. He is a past president of the Sioux Falls Catholic School Board and an active member of St. Lambert Catholic Church in Sioux Falls. Miles attributes his continued success to the people he surrounds himself with, both personally and professionally, and recognizes that being a community leader involves more than just serving on a board or providing financial support. He and his wife Lisa have 3 daughters, Alyssa, Erin, and Ashley. We are so fortunate to have him as part of our business and faith community. Please join me in welcoming Miles Beacom.
Thank you, Jodi. Thank you, Jodi. First of all, I want you to know that this is pretty intimidating. When they asked me to speak, I said, there's going to be a lot of great business leaders in this community that are much more qualified to speak than I am. And Joe Rutten says, we just want to hear your faith story. I said, I don't think anyone's ever heard my faith story before, but sit back and enjoy. Try to anyway. Believe it or not, I don't like talking in front of crowds, and you'll understand why in a few minutes. I do like talking about my family that's over here. My wife and I just celebrated 24 years together this past Monday. How about a round of applause there? My mother, sister, much older brother Dan, and his beautiful wife Ann are here too. Enjoy talking about them. I enjoy talking about the community. I enjoy talking about the Premier organization. I don't like talking about myself, so hang in there with me. Let's see if I can get. One of the questions and comments that I continue to hear is, because I'm a president of an organization, the question is, does he really believe in God? He's the president. The other question I hear from time to time is, does he really believe and does he really have faith? And my comment is, we all need faith. And it doesn't matter who you are, what level, what you do, you have to believe in God. And you have to believe every day. All of us, it doesn't matter who we are, we all have challenges. I had my mother a little bit scared. I told her I had the picture of her in her swimsuit up here. This is our family. And every family, I'm no different than anyone in this audience. We all have some challenges. We've all had some bumps in the road that we had to manage through. I had great parents. I had 5 brothers and sisters. And I think that was unique. There was 3 girls, 3 kids that were girls, 3 were boys, 3 with red hair, 3 with dark hair, and it went girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy. And I asked my parents, how did you do that? And they said, family planning. And they kind of wink at each other. You go, But you look, as we're growing up, it's no different than anyone else. A house on the east side of Sioux Falls, 3 bedrooms, 3 boys were in one room, 3 girls in the other room. My parents were lucky, they only had 2 in their room. 1 telephone with a long cord that was on the wall that could wrap around into the living room for private calls. 1 bathroom, which wasn't fun, with 3 sisters. 1 car. We had the automatic garage door opener way back in the early 60s, but that was the 6 kids lifting the door for my father when he got home from work. The other thing is the oldest 3 graduated from O'Gorman High School. The youngest 3 graduated from Lincoln High School. My brother didn't say this, so I always tease him that he did. And I used to say, now Dan, why did you and Jean and Connie get to graduate from the Catholic school, and the youngest 3 graduate from the public school? And he said, well, Mom and Dad didn't love you as much, and we didn't have enough money. I go, really? And he goes, they had enough money. No, that's not true. The real reason I went to public school is really because my parents loved me, and I had a speech problem. And they knew that the public schools at that time had much better resources to help the kids out. And it was probably the best thing in the world for me to have that speech problem. Early on, I didn't think so. Go to class, raise my hand. A lot of people thought I learned a foreign language because they couldn't understand me. My family couldn't understand me. That brought out some laughs or questions continuing to say, what did he say? Would you say that again? In school, it was tough. Pretty soon, I stopped raising my hand asking for questions, or asking questions, or answering questions. At the same time, one of my best friends became God. And I said, please, help me to be normal. Help me to be like other people. Continued those classes, those special classes, and I'd say they paid off. Again, I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was having that problem. I was able to sit back, watch other people, how they acted, how they treated other people, but at the same time, I made a commitment that I'd fully utilize the talents that God gave me. Go right down the line, respect everyone, stand up for the underdog, identify those people that need a little extra help and provide that. Encourage everyone. And it doesn't matter if it's a child, a coworker, a friend of yours that's going through a tough time. A little encouragement goes a long way, and all of us can continue to do that. Do the right thing. That's so important. So easy to say. Sometimes it's very difficult to do, but always do the right thing. Believe that God's with you at all times. I know He's always right there with me. And also believe that no one is any better than anyone else. We're all in this together. I wanted to share just a few of the challenges, opportunities, or sacrifices. I'll jump through these. Speech we talked about. Next big one, probably college, I'll jump to Citibank. I was fortunate to join them right after college. I was there for just over 8 years. Had a tremendous time. I thought I was going to retire from there. In those 8+ years, I had 7 different jobs. As they were moving and transitioning jobs from New York to South Dakota, continued to open up opportunities to go to the different departments. It wasn't the easiest thing to do, but I wanted to continue to learn more. I'd pray that as I was making these changes within the organization, I was making the right moves. And then along came in 1989, I was asked to join a new bank in town. Not a new bank, but a small franchise bank, had no credit card division. And I asked Lisa, what do you think? She goes, you're with Citibank, the largest credit card operation in the country. You're going to go to this little franchise bank and start one? I prayed about it, and I thought, I think I can do it. So I took the step, moved over there. I was there for a year. We had over 30,000 accounts. We were profitable. Things were going well. I had the right team in place. And I was being recruited from an organization out in the Chicagoland area to come out there. And they had one of the worst run organizations in the country. I talked to Lisa. I said, what do you think? And she thought, you left Citibank to join this small organization and start this credit card operation. You built the team you wanted, successful. Why in the world would you want to leave your family and friends and go out to the Chicagoland area? I said, well, I think I can help turn it around, bring the right team in, do the right things, and turn it around. And thankfully she says, okay. So we loaded up and moved out to the Chicagoland area. My first day there, November 26th, 1990. I'm going around talking to the different managers, finding out what's working well in the organization, what isn't. And these managers are saying, Miles, this is a waste of time. You can't do anything. There were 2 other people before you that didn't last very long. Went back to my office and I thought, what did I step into now? Said a quick prayer and thought, let's just grab this thing by the horns. Contacted all the managers and said, we're going to meet on that Monday at 4 o'clock in the boardroom. If you have anything early evening, you better cancel it, because we may be there till about 7. They weren't very happy with that. They walk in there and they go, Miles, what's going on? And I said, I want to find out every problem with this organization, put it on the board before we leave. And they said, Miles, it really doesn't matter. You won't be here long enough to make those changes. The owner won't let you. He was an entrepreneur. He won't let you make those changes. And I said, just humor me. Let's put them all on the board. We listed everything on the board. Then we went back and identified what we believed were short-term fixes, medium fixes, long-term fixes. I got home about 7 o'clock that evening, and it was probably about 7:30, the owner called and said, Miles, what are you doing? Because I'm getting calls like crazy that you're causing all kinds of trouble within the organization. And I go, Jim, you hired me to turn this organization around. You have to support me. He goes, can you take it slow? I said, we don't have time to take it slow. He said, okay, I'll see you in the morning. Next morning, I go in about 7, about 8 o'clock, I get a call. It was the owner of the company. He goes, Miles, can you come down to my office? I said, sure. I'm going, man, am I getting fired on my second day? I go down there, and he goes, Miles, I got calls the rest of the evening from employees thinking that you're pushing too hard. I said, Jim, can you do me a favor and leave town, just leave the organization, get out of here for a few days, leave me in charge, and let me get some of these things done? He goes, I don't know if I can. I go, you have to. Thankfully, he did. We made a number of changes. That was the 27th of November, 1990. In December of 1992, that same organization received the most improved organization in the country by MasterCard International. And I'll tell you, it wasn't me, but it was everyone working together, doing the right thing for the organization. Well, right about that time, Lisa and I came back to visit our families for Christmas in 1992, and Denny Sanford gave me a call. And he goes, Miles, can we have breakfast? And I said, sure. And went and had breakfast. I did not tell Lisa I was having breakfast with them, because we'd been seeing that the bank was having significant problems. To be honest, I did not know if they were going to survive. And he said he wanted me to come back and turn the organization around. And I said, I'll need to think about it and discuss it with Lisa. We talked about it, and when we were in the Chicagoland area, we struggled having kids. We lost 2 in early pregnancy. And when we talked, we said, this might be a message from God to come back home. We accepted the job, moved back on February 8th, 1993. And since that time, I've had 3 beautiful daughters. 2 in college, 1 in high school now. But it's been truly a blessing. First day back, that February 8th, 1993, I had the pleasure to sit down with the regulatory examiners from their audit, end of 1992. And they gave us a binder about 3 inches thick of all the problems our organization had. And they got done and they said, Miles, it's nice that you're back, but don't ever plan on growing this business. I just said, okay. From that point, I made sure I had the right people in place. We worked on controls to make sure we were doing things right. And in August of 1993, 6 months later, the regulatory agency said we could go ahead and grow. And our board said, let's go, Miles. And I said, no, we're not ready. They may think we are, but we're not. I said, I need more time to continue bringing the right people. Let us do things right. Well, things seem to be going pretty good until about 2010. 2010, we were the 8th largest issuer of credit cards in the country. We had 3.5 million active accounts. We had close to 3,000 employees. And then Card Act came. And that disrupted just about every issuing credit card business in the country. Majority of our competition left the market. And I went to the board and I said, we've got 3,000 families in South Dakota that we have to take care of. We can't leave and just throw in the towel. Give us a chance to try to test some things and find a way through this. They let us test different strategies for about a year. We found a way through it. We went from 3,000 employees, though, down to 1,400. We went from 5 facilities in the state to 4. I had to close our spearfish operation. At one time, we had over 500 employees in spearfish. Great people. We had a great relationship with the community. We had a great relationship with Black Hills State University. And to close that was terrible. That was probably 2 of the worst years of my life. But when we talk about doing things right, when we closed it, went to the board and said, I want to donate that facility, the workstations, the telephone system, and all the computers to the community of Spearfish. And some people on the board thought I was crazy, but it was the right thing to do. We did that. The board approved it. All that was handed off to the community of Spearfish, and then worked with the Economic Development Department for the state of South Dakota. We went out and worked with organizations that we knew were interested to come into South Dakota. We worked with 3 and brought 3 different companies into South Dakota. Had them meet with Economic Development Group and Spearfish as well as the state. One of those accepted, and they had a great opportunity to move into a facility. Did we need to do that? Any of that? It would have been easy just to have a realtor put the facility on the market. But we had an incredible partnership, not only with the community, but with the people. And we couldn't leave the people stranded. We thought it was our duty to work with them to bring another business into that community. Well, then family and kids. Talk about challenges, they're there. When you talk about the greatest gift in the world, it's definitely kids. We've been blessed to have 3. Success comes with culture. You have to be able to do things right. It's the value system, getting people to believe that they're part of the team and they are, making sure that everyone within the organization does things right, believing that you can be successful. Who would have thought we'd be able to make the accomplishments that we have at Premier in the last 30 years? Not too many. But you keep believing, giving people the tools. In the dark there, that's so important. If you want to grow a business right, you have to look at long-term success. Do things right for the long term. If you're trying to cut the corners and you're looking for the short-term successes, you will stumble. You have to keep the long-term frame of mind. It has to be built right long-term. I've had a lot of friends that I've worked with, and they're just short-term focused. They're just looking at this. Instead of looking at what we could build long-term, they're just looking at short-term goals. And that person is always going to be looking. They'll never stay with an organization long-term because they just don't see it. We have orientations every quarter for our new employees at Premier. And we have this quote that we share with each of them. And I just think it's a very important one. An organization is only as great as the people in it. And the people are only as great as the organization allows them to be. And you could have a good product, but if you don't have great people to really build it and market and believe in the product, you're not going to be very successful. And if you as a company don't give the people the ability to voice their opinions, to offer suggestions to make your product better, it won't get better. If they believe that they're part of it, your program will continue to grow and get stronger. Tools for success. And we share this with every single employee. We have all kinds of training internally that we do, and we have external speakers come in. And we want our employees to grow not only professionally, but personally. And we tell them that we'll give them the tools to be successful. And we know that if they're going to be successful, we as an organization should be successful. But we also tell them that if our community is not successful, then them as individuals and us as a business, we're not successful. We ask every single employee to get out and volunteer every single year. Last few years, we've averaged over 30,000 volunteer hours each year. If you don't think that has an impact on the community, you're wrong. It does. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in. And the one thing I'd challenge everyone here is start tracking your volunteer hours within your organization. Anytime you track volunteer hours, you track anything, whatever you're tracking, performance will increase and improve. Faith and pride. First time on there, you have to believe in doing the right thing. You have to do things right. Second, you need to have pride. Not only in your family, community, the organization you're working for, you have to have that pride. Pocket rosary. I don't know if any of you have ever seen one of those before, but a friend of mine, Dan Zerfus, gave me one of these probably about 5+ years ago. And I was having a tough time. And I don't know how many times before that it would have came in handy. Because today, now, rarely will you see me without this pocket rosary with me. I don't know how many times a day I'll have a tough question or a challenge that's out there. So I'll pull that out of my pocket, say a quick prayer, and ask God to help me with that decision. Help me make the right decision. Since Dan gave me that, I think we've ordered probably around 500 pocket rosaries. We take them all over, and we ask Bishop Schwan to bless them. And then we give them to friends and family or other individuals that we know that are struggling with something. And we let them know that carry it, believe, pray with it, and let them know that Bishop Schwan also blessed it. A friend of mine was having heart surgery a year ago. Went up to the hospital to pray with his wife. I gave his wife one of the rosaries. They went back to Omaha, and she called me, and she goes, I had that rosary turned into a necklace. I go, well, good. I'm glad to see that you're using it. And she goes, you know what? I was wearing it the other day, and a friend said that they really could use one right now. Could you send me some? So, of course, I sent them some. They're passing the rosaries around right now. But hopefully you can carry that, and like I said, rarely will you see me without it. This next item is one of my favorite prayers that I just wanted to share with you, and it's the Stewardship Prayer. Lord God, giver of life and all good gifts, You anointed Jesus with the Holy Spirit, who inspired him to give everything he had for our sake. And we all know that. He gave everything he had for us. Move us by the same spirit of stewardship to share first to the Lord for the benefit of all. So we're asking to be moved by that same spirit for the benefit of all. By your grace, help us to follow in your footsteps and become more focused on loving and caring for our families, our neighbors, and our communities. We can never care too much for our families, neighbors, friends, and the community. Lead us to the awareness that everything we are and everything we have is your gift. And I know that for a fact. Everything that we have is a gift from God. Grant us a spirit of sacrifice to always seek your will and to share our gifts with our brothers and sisters. What we have, we should be sharing. May we be good stewards of all we have received and cooperate with you in building your kingdom of love and justice. That's so easy to say. May we be good stewards of all we have received and cooperate with you in building your kingdom of love and justice. But for some, it's difficult to do. Well, that's my faith story. And thank you for putting up and listening to it. And as I said, the struggles I had early on, I think they were a blessing for me as I moved forward to help in any way I can. And my wife and I do that today. Next, what I'd like to do is ask Joe Rutten to come up. Joe is the executive director for the Business Foundation, or the Catholic Men's Business Fraternity. Usually they're called presidents in fraternities, but he's our executive director. And I want to share with you when Joe first called me to join the fraternity, I said, I've got plenty of things to do. And he started talking. He says, we want to make sure that people understand that you can do the right things in business. And if you do the right things, you'll be successful. And I look around and I look and I go, in the Midwest, we usually do things right. I said, it's the folks on the East Coast and the West Coast that are messed up. But I really, truly do believe that we do things right here in the Midwest. But I thought, man, for our children and our grandchildren, what a great thing to start. So I said, okay, I'm in. So let's welcome Joe Rutten.
Tag team, just a couple of minutes. We don't want to keep you. We're going to have a social here for a little bit and let you mingle and share with each other. But we just want to let you know a little bit about what CMBF, or the Catholic Men's Business Fraternity, is and what our vision is here as we move forward. So
this, as I said, when Joe started this, when he got a hold of me, he says, we really want to make sure people in business know we can do the right things here. And I said, we do that. But the other thing that he mentioned was for the men's ministry, it's not only taking Sunday into Monday, but it's making sure that we're good fathers, we're good husbands. And you go right down the line, the brothers, broom trees, and what we really want to be is that hub. There's so many great things going on in the community, and what we want to do is not do them all. We just want to kind of be a hub saying, if you want this, this is where you can go.
And if you look at my original intention when I kind of had this concept or idea of a fraternity, was a great desire on my part to find a way to help a number of my friends that were my age connect to the Catholic faith. I kind of saw an opportunity there to try and help, my buddies find meaning and value in their faith. And so with that, and then a desire even for my own family, my brother's here, I've got a father-in-law, sister-in-law, I've got a number of my friends here. It's just that vision to try and help find a way as well to help men connect to the faith, but then at the same time to help us find a connection or an integration between faith and the business. And so with that came this concept or this idea of taking Sunday into Monday. How can we take faith principles and apply them to business practices. I taught for 10 years out at O'Gorman, and I taught ethics. And I thought, this is the stuff that your parents need. They're in the position where they actually can apply the principles. The students were simply in a learning mode. And so it's from that concept where I realized that the Catholic faith has this rich and deep tradition of social teaching and of principles that can be applied to what we do in business. And so from that has come this concept of taking Sunday into Monday. Here are a number of the original founders that I asked to be a part of this founding fraternity, if you will. Father Fitzpatrick and Father Young as our original chaplains, Stan Biondi and Dwayne Spader were a part of the original executive committee, along with the original founders of Miles, Larry, Mark, Gene, and Troy. And then as the committee exists today, with the addition of Dan Fritz, Noel Lace, and Dr. Ryan Van Zee and Brian Cooper, our chaplain as well now is Father James Morgan.
And before we move on from this, not only Joe Rutten, but Brian Cooper did a ton of work for this, so I would like us to give those two a round of applause. So thank you very much, too.
Where is Brian? Brian around? Oh, Brian's working. He's taking photos in the middle. Thank you, Brian, for your work. So our mission here, just to enhance the spiritual, intellectual, the leadership formation for our business community, for men in faith. We just look forward to bringing this mission to life. And a vision is grand. It's much more than words on a page. But our vision is grand. I told somebody at the beginning, I don't want this to be around in 20 years. I want this to be around in 100 years. And as we celebrate 125 years of the Catholic Diocese of Sioux Falls, I believe that this fraternity, with hopefully a ladies' organization that can start up as well, that would partner with us, could be around for a legacy of our future as we move forward. Our values, we really just picked up the virtues. This is the classical Christian way of living a virtuous life that people like Plato and Aristotle and the great classics would discover in prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance, coupled with our theological virtues. And then this just is a diagram of us as what we hope to be as a hub for the faith formation and for ministries that will come about as we move forward. Last thing here, and we don't want to keep you long, but there's one person, Parker Jones, if she's in here. Parker Jones is an intern that's worked with me and has contributed significantly to the production of this conference. If Parker's here, I just want you to know that I'm grateful for your work. But Parker's going to help us begin a Catholic Young Leaders Institute in Sioux Falls out of the Cathedral Church, where we seek to help form our young men and women in faith as well.
And the other thing we want to be able to do with this is have you be able to just go to the Catholic Men's Business Fraternity to our website, and if there's something you're interested in or not sure what we have, we may not do it all, but we're going to point you where you can go for prayer session, discipleship, to Knights of Columbus, whatever it may be. We want to be able to forward you in that direction. And with that, we have a men's retreat coming up. Father Jim Mason's going to return back to the diocese to give a men's retreat. Holy Spirit Men's Group is sponsoring. If you want more information on that, there's a table in back where you can grab some more information and registration for that men's retreat coming up, led by Father Mason. We look forward to rolling out membership and sharing with you more as we grow, but we'd just like to announce that we've already scheduled. We've got our lineup for next year's conference, August 18th, and we look forward for you to join us there as well. So thank you, and God bless.